I'm exhausted. 2 weeks of setting up the new international office in London and all the travel have drained me, but the hardest part was being away from my family, especially my girls. The 16-hour journey home, even in first class, felt like hell. I always hate being away from them, but the demands of my job come with the lifestyle I've built for my family. Our energy company has expanded into 12 countries due to high demand. 5 years ago, I bought out my partner Roger, and since then, it's been demanding yet rewarding. Now, I've hired a new president to run the operation while I focus on being CEO and owner. I can't wait to share the good news with my girls when I get home. I'm excited to have more time with my family and friends and to live a more normal life. While I love the growth of my company, my true goal has always been to spend time watching my girls grow up and being with my wife. I feel fortunate to finally have the chance to step back and enjoy the success I've worked for at the age of 45. Despite the expenses of country club memberships, Zoe's desired Lamborghini SUV, private school for the girls, and the large house we moved into, seeing my family happy makes it all worth it. Although my life has been stressful, it's also been filled with love and warmth. I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life with my family. As the limo pulled into the driveway, the house seemed quiet. Usually, the girls would be there to greet me. I called out, but there was no response. Concerned, I found an envelope with Zoe's handwriting on it. To Jonathan, from your loving wife, Zoe. After the driver left, I settled into my room, changed into comfortable clothes, and poured myself a glass of bourbon. Looking forward to Zoe's message, I sat down and took a sip before opening the envelope. My dearest Jonathan, reflecting on our incredible journey as husband and wife fills my heart with joy. These past 16 years have been a treasure, and I eagerly anticipate sharing the next 50 with you as your devoted wife. My love for you knows no bounds, my darling. You are my world, my everything, and I cannot imagine life without you by my side. Your love is all I need, and the thought of being in your arms brings me endless happiness. I've longed for your presence during these past 2 weeks apart, and I can't wait to reunite with you later tonight. Her words warmed my heart, much like the bourbon warmed my belly. I'm truly fortunate to have her as my wife. Have I mentioned how your tender affection makes my heart flutter? I shared with you before you departed on your recent trip how deeply I am in love with you and how I yearn to spend eternity by your side. Observing the love and respect our daughters have for you reaffirms what an extraordinary father you are. They adore you as much as I do, and we are all blessed to have you in our lives. I always get emotional thinking about our daughters. My love for them surpasses any material possession, and I cannot wait to embrace and kiss them again. I've never shared this with you, but my friends envy our relationship and the affection we still show each other after 16 years of marriage. They recognize the depth of our love and wish they had that in their own lives. This letter serves multiple purposes, my love. Firstly, to express my gratitude for being the incredible person you are, for enriching my life with 16 wonderful years, for being an exceptional father to our children, for providing us with a beautiful lifestyle, and above all, for your unwavering love and affection. Secondly, I feel compelled to share something that has weighed on my heart for the past 6 months. It's unexpected, and unfortunately, it has become a significant part of my life. This doesn't sound promising. Perhaps I should refill my glass before continuing. It must be the jet lag. Zoe and the girls mean everything to me. I shouldn't jump to conclusions. Maybe she's taken up a new hobby or joined a club. Let's see what she has to share. Everything I've expressed is genuine and heartfelt, which makes what I'm about to divulge incredibly difficult. Despite my enduring love for you, I have a confession to make. I pray you'll understand and not lose faith in me or our marriage over this revelation. For the past 6 months, I've been involved with another man. I hesitate to call him a lover because our relationship is purely physical. I don't have any emotional attachment or love for him, we simply share a sexual connection. What in the world? Zoe is having an affair? Despite the love, freedom, and everything we've built together, she's betrayed our vows? Our sex life was fulfilling. How could this happen? My heart feels like it's breaking into a million pieces. No, Zoe wouldn't do this, would she? I trusted her completely with my heart and soul. How could she jeopardize everything we've built together? All these years, shattered by a cheap fling? Surely she can't be that foolish. I'm confessing this now out of respect and immense guilt. I can't bear the weight of this guilt any longer, and I need you to know about my infidelity, even if it causes you pain. You've done more than cause pain, you deceitful woman. Complete honesty? You've already deceived me. How can I trust you again? What have you done, Zoe? I want to be completely transparent and answer any questions you may have. I value your trust too much to deceive you in any way, but I understand that this confession may hurt you, and for that, I can only hope you understand why I felt the need to share this with you. You've done more than hurt me, you vile woman. Transparency? You've already lied to me. How can I believe anything you say now? What have you done, Zoe? Please know that I've tried my best to keep this affair separate from our lives and ensure it doesn't affect our relationship. I believe you'll agree that nothing has changed between us since this started, and I know we've both been happy. However, I realize this situation can't continue, so it's only fair that you're aware of what's been happening. No secrets, my love. I cherish and respect you too much to hide anything from you. Understand that my involvement with him is purely physical, and I won't allow it to interfere with our love and intimacy. I just felt it was necessary to inform you that there's another aspect of my life involving another man, but it has no bearing on my love for you and the importance of our family. Our family is my top priority and the most valuable part of my life. Nothing will change that. I know this revelation will come as a shock and cause you pain, but I trust in the kind of man you are and the depth of your love for me. Knowing this gives me the courage to confess my indiscretion, as I believe deep down you'll understand my needs and find it in your heart to forgive me. Your patience and understanding are just two of the countless things I admire about you, my dear. If you truly knew the kind of man I am, you would have never betrayed me and our family. You've underestimated me greatly, and you've just ended our marriage. There will be no forgiveness from me. No, the only thing you'll receive from me is retribution. Our daughters are spending the night at your mom's house, so they're safe and sound. They're eagerly looking forward to seeing their daddy in the morning. I'm spending tonight with my friend to give you some space to process my letter and understand how things will be moving forward. I'll be back home around 10 p.m., and we can resume as if nothing has changed, because in reality, nothing has changed, my love. I love you just as much today as I did yesterday, and I know our connection will only grow stronger after we reconnect tonight, if that's even possible. Once I return home, I'll be entirely devoted to you, and we can share the intimate connection of husband and wife once again. As you read this, remember that you are my lifelong love, and I am yours until the end of time. I belong to you, darling, and I'm here to fulfill whatever desires or needs you may have. Thank you for being the incredible husband that any woman would be grateful to have. With eternal love, your faithful wife, Zoe, XXX Jonathan. After reading the letter, I noticed the glass of bourbon I had been drinking was now embedded in the nearby wall. I couldn't recall throwing it, let alone with such force that it shattered and left fragments in the wall. It seemed my subconscious had taken over, heightening my understanding of the situation. Quick decision-making had been pivotal to my business success, and now it kicked in as a reflex. I wrote a response letter, sealed it with Zoe's name, and placed it beside the envelope addressed to me. Zoe's letter went into my pocket, and I packed clothes for a few days, as we were going on a trip. I called my assistant to prepare the corporate jet for a trip to San Francisco, where we would stay for a while. By 6:30 that evening, I was on my way to my parents' house to pick up the girls. I had a fully stocked corporate apartment near my California office, ready for an extended stay. As I arrived, the girls greeted me with smiles and kisses, thrilled to see me earlier than expected. They shared their excitement, unaware of the turmoil brewing within me. Their warmth and love momentarily eased my troubled mind. The mention of Zoe's friend Jamie caught my attention, and I stored it away for later. After settling the girls, I surprised them with news of a trip on the company jet for a few days of fun. Convincing them was easy, but explaining to my parents proved challenging. They sensed my distress and objected to taking the girls away until I shared Zoe's letter with them. I explained my need for time to think and plan away from emotional influence. Assuring them of the girls' well-being, I promised to return within 2 weeks. En route to the private terminal, I informed my new president of my absence and instructed him to handle operations independently, contacting me only for emergencies. William, I'm entrusting you with the responsibility for the next few weeks. Let's see how you manage without my guidance. I'm confident in your abilities, and the staff will be there to support you. I need some time to attend to a personal matter, so only reach out if it's an emergency. I have full faith in you, William, and I know the company is in capable hands. Make me proud. Don't worry, Mr. King. I've got everything under control, and everything will go smoothly. Feel free to call me for a daily update if you'd like. I understand how tough it is to leave your business in someone else's hands. Let me know if you need anything while you're away. As we boarded the plane, the girls gleefully ran up and down the aisle of the 16-seat jet, playing with Jessica, one of our friendly flight attendants. Over the past 2 years, we had developed a good rapport during our frequent flights together. It was late, and the girls had fallen asleep. With the cabin lights dimmed, the atmosphere was serene. I took the opportunity to call Zoe at home. Jonathan, where are you, honey? Zoe, listen carefully and please don't interrupt, as I might lose signal up here. By now, I'm sure you've read my letter and know that I have the girls with me. They'll call you in the morning. I'll reach out in the next few days to discuss things further. If you need anything in the meantime, please contact my mom and dad. Good night. I ended the call before she could respond. The flight proceeded smoothly, and we landed at 1 a.m. I carried the girls to the waiting limo and then to my apartment shortly afterward. After tucking them into bed, I collapsed without bothering to unpack. There will be time for that tomorrow. Zoe returns home. I'm eager to reunite with my loving husband. These 2 weeks without him have felt endless. Tonight, I'll be the perfect wife and make him feel cherished. His first night back home from a business trip is always special, filled with passion and affection. Upon entering the house, I noticed the lights were off. Perhaps he's already in bed, exhausted from his journey. Honey, I'm home. I called out, but there was no response. I checked the bedroom, but he wasn't there. His phone didn't answer, and there were no missed calls or messages. Odd. I decided to check the patio, hoping he might be relaxing outside. As I approached, I noticed an envelope on the table, addressed to me, next to the one I had left for him earlier. A sense of unease washed over me as I opened it, but before I could read his letter, my phone rang. It was Jonathan, and his tone was unusually formal and distant. He instructed me not to interrupt and proceeded to speak, his voice tinged with pain. I wanted to interject with words of love, but I held back, wanting him to finish. Unfortunately, he ended the call abruptly, leaving me with a sinking feeling that things were not as I expected. For a brief moment, it felt as though time had stopped. I stood there, holding the phone in one hand and Jonathan's letter in the other. Then, as if jolted back to reality, my heart raced and I dropped the phone, its clatter against the tile floor going unnoticed as I focused on the letter. My hands trembled, tears clouding my vision as I struggled to read Jonathan's words. Dearest Zoe, thank you for your letter and your honesty. Our 16 years together have been the happiest of my life. You've blessed me with 2 wonderful daughters whom I cherish dearly. Our love has been extraordinary, and it's no surprise that our friends envy the intimacy we share, for you have always been my priority. I had planned to surprise you tonight with news of changes at work that would allow me more time with you and the girls. Yet, returning home to an empty house was not the homecoming I anticipated. Throughout my journey, all I longed for was the warmth of our family's embrace and the loving presence of my incredible wife. But tonight, I find myself alone in our vast home, shattered and disheartened. Upon discovering the letter addressed to me, I hoped for news of a joyful surprise from you and the girls, but instead, I was confronted with something entirely unexpected. Your confession of a 6-month affair shattered the foundation of our marriage. The moment you shared intimacy with another, our union was irreparably damaged. Though I've always loved you deeply, your betrayal marks the end of our marriage. Tears streamed down Zoe's face as she realized the gravity of her actions. No, please God, no. Jonathan was supposed to understand, she sobbed, finally grasping the enormity of her mistake. Regrettably, I cannot comprehend or condone your infidelity. While I'm glad you found solace elsewhere, your actions have forfeited your role as my wife and our children's mother. The girls are with me, and we're heading to my San Francisco office for the next week. I need some time away from you and our home to process your confession and actions. You can call the girls tomorrow afternoon since we won't be landing until 1 a.m. and they'll be tired from the trip. Right now, being with my girls is the only thing keeping me grounded. They're in good hands, so you don't need to worry. You'll have plenty of free time to be with your lover while I sort things out. There's no need for us to communicate, so please refrain from calling or texting as I won't be responding. However, you're welcome to call and FaceTime the girls as often as you'd like. I won't prevent you from seeing them or let them know about your affair. I'll leave that conversation for you to have with them when the time is right. Your affair has deeply hurt me, and I can't fathom why you thought I would accept this betrayal of our vows. Your letter shattered my world, and it will take time for me to heal from the love I've lost. In just a few minutes, I went from being the happiest man with plans for a closer future to feeling utterly defeated. You've humiliated me in ways I never imagined, and I'm just trying to come to terms with it. I'll inform you when we'll be back. Jonathan. Zoe. With tears streaming down my face, I sat there in shock and devastation. No, this can't be happening. He can't leave me like this. It's all wrong, and not how he was supposed to react. He always assured me of his love and happiness. How could he be so upset? I need to explain this better. Maybe he misunderstood. I have to call Jamie, he'll know what to do. Jamie, it's me. He left me and took the girls. What should I do? He was supposed to talk to me and understand it's just sex. He said he's leaving, and I don't know what to do, I sobbed into the phone. Zoe, calm down. He's upset, but he'll come around in a few days. It's not like you're leaving him or dating me, it's just a few hours of intimacy we share when he's away. He won't leave you over that. He'll also consider the consequences of leaving you, and that will help him accept the new situation. Did you tell him how much you love him? Yes, I did. I explained everything in the letter, and I meant every word. He means everything to me, and I can't bear to lose him. How can he be so selfish and not understand? I just want him to be happy for me. What should I do? I'm in so much pain. Just try to get some rest and give him a call tomorrow after he's had some time to process everything. I'll be back home by noon tomorrow. Why don't you come over then, and we can talk about it? Get some rest, Zoe. Sleep evaded me that night, and by the following morning, I attempted to call Jonathan a little after noon. However, the call rang once before being disconnected, indicating that he had blocked my number. Now, I had no means of reaching him. I'll call the girls, they can put Daddy on the phone. Cassie answered and was glad to hear from me, which warmed my heart. Hi, Mommy. Hello, sweetheart. Is your daddy there? I need to speak with him. Mom, Daddy said he doesn't want to talk to you and won't answer if you call. What's going on, Mom? Dad seems upset and different. It's nothing. Parents sometimes have disagreements. Your dad misunderstood something, got upset, and left. I need to explain it to him so he won't be upset anymore. I'll ask him to talk to you again, Mom. Hold on. I overheard her talking to him, and his response didn't sound promising. Mom, he said he'll call you when he's ready to talk. Are you going to be okay? Yes, don't worry, honey. Your dad and I will sort things out. Just behave and call me, okay? Give your dad a kiss for me and put your sister on the phone. Jonathan. Jennifer, 13, and Cassie, 15, looked at me with concern after the call. Cassie, being the older one, had a solemn look in her eyes. Has Mom been cheating on you, Daddy? My heart shattered at her question. Holding back tears, I simply shook my head and told them to get ready for lunch. This was one of the toughest moments I've faced, but with love and support, I knew we would navigate through the challenges ahead. Earlier that morning, before the girls woke up, I called our family attorney, who was already at his desk on the East Coast. Without preamble, I recounted the situation and what I wanted to happen. George, I need to understand what a divorce would entail and how difficult it could be. I want full custody of the children, no matter what. There's no chance for reconciliation, counseling, or forgiveness. I want this to be resolved as quickly as possible. There was a prolonged silence on the other end of the line. I gave him the space to absorb the news, knowing he was probably as taken aback by my words as I had been by Zoe's letter. Jonathan, I'm deeply sorry to hear this. Kate and I always believed you two were the perfect couple, and I'm baffled by how this could happen. But I understand your request. Remember when you started the company with Roger and he insisted on a prenuptial agreement because of what happened in his previous business? Your prenup is in effect and up to date, and if Zoe is indeed having an affair, she forfeits her rights to the children and any financial benefits from the marriage. Over the years, as your company flourished, I ensured the prenuptial agreement remained current, collaborated with your corporate attorneys, and placed a majority of your assets under a trust, with you as the beneficiary. The house, cars, bank accounts, and investments are all protected under this trust, which cannot be accessed. Essentially, if she has violated the prenup, she leaves the marriage with only what she brought into it and forfeits any claims to the children. Although this wasn't the original intention of setting up the trust, it seems to be working in your favor now. George, you're absolutely right. I never imagined she would betray me like this, and I completely overlooked the prenup. But, George, all I have is her written confession of the affair. What else do we need? Well, having her confess on video or audio recording would strengthen our case, along with some photographic evidence or a confession from her lover. George, could you handle that while I'm here in California with the girls? Money is not an issue, and I want concrete evidence as quickly as possible. I don't want this dragged out. There's someone my girls mentioned, a man named Jamie. The only Jamie I know is the tennis instructor at our country club. Can you arrange for a private investigator to start there? I'm certain she will contact her lover while I'm away. The PI report. Indeed, Jamie, the tennis instructor, was the culprit. Their lack of discretion made it easy for the PI firm to conclude their investigation. With my authorization, they installed a tracker on Zoe's car, placed audio recording devices inside the car, and installed video cameras in our home. All evidence gathered from these devices was admissible in court due to my company's control through the trust. Within the following week, they amassed sufficient audio and video evidence, in addition to her written confession, to proceed. I refrained from viewing or listening to any of the evidence as I wished to avoid those images haunting me indefinitely. As it turned out, Jamie had a history of seducing married women and had been dismissed from his previous positions for similar indiscretions. He was younger, fit, and highly admired by the women at the club. Zoe was just one of many married women with whom he was involved. Apparently, middle-aged married women were susceptible targets for this club professional. 5 days after our initial conversation, George contacted me to provide an update on the investigation. Jonathan, we have gathered all the evidence required. What are your instructions? Are you still intent on divorcing Zoe? Without hesitation, I replied, draw up the divorce papers to inflict maximum pain. I want Zoe to experience some of the anguish she has inflicted upon me and comprehend the magnitude of her mistake. Serve her with the papers on Tuesday at 10 a.m. at our country club. As fate would have it, she has a tennis lesson with Jamie every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Can we also devise a way to serve him? It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's just a nuisance lawsuit. Find something because I want him implicated in the legal proceedings. We can arrange that, and I'll explore the tennis pro angle and get back to you. We might involve the club for employing a known predator. It may not lead to much legally, but it will certainly expose the affair, if that's your intention. When do you plan to return? I intend to be home waiting for her after she's served on Tuesday. I'll make sure to be at the house before she arrives. Are you certain about divorcing her, Jonathan? As of now, absolutely. However, I need to consider the girls and have a conversation with her before finalizing anything. This is incredibly difficult, George, and I hope you never have to experience something like this. I loved her wholeheartedly, and that love doesn't just vanish. But I also despise what she's done to me and our daughters, and I can't forgive that. Whatever you decide, I'm here to assist, Jonathan. Keep in touch, and we'll notify you as soon as she's served. We reached the house Tuesday morning, before 9 a.m., and the girls were relieved to be back home. I explained to them that once their mom returned from her tennis lesson, I wanted them to stay in their rooms while we had a discussion. They seemed upset and anxious, and I did my best to reassure them that everything would be resolved. Tuesday, Zoe. It was a warm summer day, and my tennis attire was short and revealing. Jamie grinned as I arrived for my lesson, showcasing my toned legs. Just as we were about to begin, a young woman in casual attire approached the court. "Hi, can we help you?" Jamie greeted her warmly. "Yes, are you Jamie Connors?" "That's me." "Who are you?" "Today, I'm your bearer of bad news." "You've been served," she declared, handing him an envelope. He opened it while I approached to see what was happening. After scanning the contents, Jamie exclaimed, "Damn, I'm named in a lawsuit against the club for sexual misconduct." "What the hell? Who's behind this?" Meanwhile, the young woman turned to me and asked, "Excuse me, Mississippi. Are you Zoe King?" "Yes," I replied, taken aback. "This is for you. You've been served." When I saw the divorce decree, I collapsed to my knees in tears. This can't be real. He's divorcing me without even giving me a chance to explain. How could he do this after all these years? He knows how much I love him, so why is he doing this? As I knelt sobbing on the hard clay court, I felt the scrutinizing gazes from the other club members. This is a nightmare. I can only imagine what they're thinking. How did everything go so terribly wrong? I could sense Jamie's frustration as he paced around the court, his eyes fixed on the legal papers. "Zoe, you need to leave. I have to go to the club and sort this out. You need to go home and talk to your husband. Try to stop him from making any rash decisions. Please, just go." Wiping away my tears, I hurried to my car, attempting to regain composure. But once I was alone, the flood of emotions overwhelmed me, and I cried uncontrollably. Driving back home, fear and distress gripped me. Upon arrival, the girls rushed out to greet me, momentarily easing my troubles. "Where's Dad?" "He's inside." Rushing into the house, I sought to embrace him, pouring out my love and remorse, but he stiffened, blocking my advance. His rejection shattered me, and I collapsed to my knees once more, tears streaming down my face. "Honey, please don't do this. I love you so much and I need you. I've missed you terribly. Please, don't push me away." "Zoe, you have the divorce papers. Our marriage is over, and you should have realized that the moment you were unfaithful with Jamie. I don't share. You need to take responsibility for your actions. You'll have to move out, and the girls will stay with me. You'll have visitation rights, unless you upset me. Jonathan, you're making decisions without letting me explain. It's not fair. I didn't convey it properly in the letter, but please, give me a chance to explain." "Okay, explain. Help me understand what you've done." "Honey, in the letter, I wanted to express my undying love for you. You and the girls mean everything to me. I'd never intentionally hurt you. You've always been there for me. This was just a physical need, nothing more. You've always provided for me, why can't this be the same? I understand you think you love me and want us to stay together. But bringing another man into our marriage hurts me deeply. There's no place for a third person in our marriage. I won't tolerate infidelity. You broke our vows, our contract, and humiliated us. I'll never forgive you for that. You chose to betray our marriage, and there are consequences for that choice. Why won't you listen to me? I don't love him. You're the one I love. Can't you see that? Why are you acting like this?" She cried out in frustration. His expression remained unchanged, so she repeated herself, "It's you I love, not him." "What's gotten into you, Zoe? You made me feel betrayed and humiliated. That's not love, that's disrespect. You've sacrificed our marriage and our children for a man who's known for his affairs, currently involved with Barbara Weiss, Chloe Thomas, and 2 others from the club. Did you honestly think you were his only partner? You foolish woman, have you thought about your future once he's done with you in a few months? Your reputation will be tarnished, and the only attention you'll attract will be from men seeking a fling. And at your age, you're not exactly marriage material anymore. I foresee a lonely future for you, Zoe. You didn't think this through. Are you telling me to leave? This is my home too. I want to stay, honey. I'll end things with him, it was a mistake. Can't we just move past this and go back to normal if you give me a chance? Please don't kick me out. Well, it's not your home anymore. The house is under a trust, and you're not included. The car is part of the trust too, so it stays here. You have $3,000 in your account, the same as when we married, nothing more. And no, we can't go back to how things were unless you find a way to undo what you've done. I can't bear to touch you after what you've done with him. As part of the divorce, you'll have to take back your maiden name and stop using mine. You'll have access to the girls, but they'll live with me. You threw it all away when you started with him. Was it worth losing everything for a fleeting moment of satisfaction? I hope the regret keeps you up at night, feeling the pain you've caused me. Yes, I loved you more than anything, but I won't live with a cheating wife. You can try to justify it however you want, but the truth is, you cheated on our 16-year marriage. Zoe, still on the floor, felt her world crumbling around her. She'd always gotten her way and never expected Jonathan's reaction. She thought he'd understand and accept her brief fling if it made her happy. Zoe realized she misjudged her husband, followed terrible advice from Jamie, lost her family, and ruined her 16-year marriage. Jonathan looked at Zoe, holding back tears for the life and love he'd lost. His love had turned into grief and sorrow because of her selfishness. He knew the pain would linger, but he also knew there was no going back from her betrayal and disrespect. XXX The Aftermath. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Despite everything, Zoe remained the mother of my 2 daughters. I decided to provide for her by covering the rent for the first 3 months in a small, furnished 2-bedroom apartment close to our home and the club. Additionally, I bought her a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for transportation. Although I wasn't obligated to give her anything, I wanted my kids to have access to their mother whenever they wished. The luxurious lifestyle and extravagant spending were all gone now, sacrificed for a fleeting fling with a tennis pro she'd likely never see again. In an act of goodwill, I even secured a job for Zoe at the country club after dropping the lawsuit against them. Once the club agreed to terminate Jamie and assist Zoe with employment, I halted the legal action. No longer a club member, Zoe now worked as a server to make ends meet. It must have been a humbling experience for her, transitioning from a prominent club member to a server. Gone were the days of lavish shopping trips and getaways with the girls. Zoe had to manage her expenses from the income she earned at the club, covering rent, insurance, and groceries. Accustomed to a life without financial worries, she now faced the harsh reality of managing on her own. The weight of her decisions and their consequences hit her hard, evident in her demeanor each time I saw her. Predictably, Jamie abandoned Zoe once the lawsuit emerged, prioritizing his job over their relationship. Left alone, Zoe's nightly tears were witnessed by our daughters, who shared their observations with me. It took this ordeal for Zoe to comprehend the gravity of her actions and the folly of her selfish desires. Despite the circumstances, I encouraged our daughters to love and forgive their mother, emphasizing that I still cared for her. They maintained a close relationship, visiting her on her days off. During one such occasion, Zoe and I had our first civil conversation since the divorce. Jonathan, I understand that we won't reconcile, and I know I've shattered your trust beyond repair. But I need to apologize and ask for your forgiveness. I finally grasped the magnitude of my actions and the pain I've caused you. I used to lead a sheltered life, feeling entitled and blinded to the consequences of my actions. Now, I see the hurt I've inflicted on you, and I'm truly sorry. If there was a way to undo everything, I'd seize it in an instant. Losing you has been the most painful experience of my life, and the absence of your love is a constant ache. Looking back on this past year, I've matured and come to realize how foolish I was to let my selfish pride ruin everything. I deeply regret the mistakes I've made, and I plead with you to find it in your heart to forgive me. Jonathan, I'll always cherish you, and I want you to know that you were an exceptional husband. Her apology was sincere, and although forgiveness would take time, I knew that my love for her would endure. She had been my rock, and my affection for her spanned years. Such love couldn't simply be switched off. Despite the pain, Zoe remained a stunning woman, and I was certain that someone would soon sweep her off her feet, guiding her toward a new chapter. I hoped that this ordeal had taught her the value of loyalty, ensuring she remained faithful in the future. Jamie's dismissal from the club was a relief, and his subsequent move to South Carolina seemed fitting. Taking up a role as an assistant tennis pro, he wasted no time reverting to his old habits, pursuing married women once again. However, the consequences in a smaller community proved harsher than in the city. His encounter with a local's wife ended tragically when he fell victim to an alligator attack on the golf course. As I reminisced on our past joys during solitary evenings, a passage caught my attention. A man's biggest mistake is giving another man an opportunity to make his woman smile. It served as a poignant reminder to guard against repeating past errors, a lesson I vowed never to forget. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Write your opinion in the comments.